Hi, my name's Keith Moses, and today we're going to be making gnomes, and I'm going to show you the steps for making pinch pots, coils, and assembling the pieces together to make little gnomes. We're going to just roll a little ball, and this is a golf ball size. I'm just going to put my finger in and pressing it around, and now roll it a little bit, and I'm hollowing this out. I'm trying to keep the opening as narrow as possible, but widening it out a little bit inside. So this is the head to the gnome, and I am going to approach it this way. This would be where the hair is, and this is where the neck is. There's the eye holes. Here is my gnome-esque nose, a very proud, large nose, and put that on there. Blending it, and since this clay is all of the same moisture content right now, I'm not worried about scoring to create more surface area to connect. Really concerned about pressing the air out and blending it in. And so that's what we're doing. So we're bypassing the scratch before you attach. And there's that, the nose. Here's the cheeks. We just push that out. See those starting to form, and then here's the chin, and we push that out. And so, gnome face. Now we'll round that off so we can put some nostrils in, and it's already starting to come alive, like so. All right, put a hanging eyeball. So we can do hollow voids or we can do hanging. And we're going to do hanging on this one. So denting that in. And again, you could put slip in there, but I'm just going to embed that by dropping that in like so. And there's the eyeballs sitting inside there. Okay, there's the head. Get that set. Here is the gnome-esque hat. And again, a ball. We'll take it, roll it into kind of a cone shape, flatten that off a little bit, and we'll hollow it out. And this little technique of rolling it on my finger on the table helps it grow. And there's the gnome hat. Put that in. I'm going to get a little bit of slip on this. I'm going to widen this out before I do that. And here's the slip. Put right on this part here. And wiggle that into place. And there's my gnome hat. A little tilt on it. And gnome ears coming up. Little ball rolled into a point on one end. So, and again, it's still pretty wet, so I'm going to center these kind of the nostril on up. But since it's a gnome, it could have a little larger ears than I'm used to. And blending that in. A little bit elf-like. There we are. Okay. Mustache, same sort of principle, a little ball. Rolled out into a tapered coil. Round those off. Curl them a little bit. Pistachio. Here's our beard. It's a coil that's tapered on both ends, and then flatten that. And here we go. Little slip here, little slip where the mustache is going to roll. Since this is drying a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and scratch it and press that in. Scratch that. Just using my fingernail, kind of quick. There's his beard, little Mario gnome now. And then our mustache. And there is the beard going in. And I'm going to put a little slip underneath that too. The slip is just wet clay from a potter's wheel, but you can make your own. Taking a little bit of this, add a little water to it, and mix it up. So there's our gnome so far. And I'm going to open a new air hole right back here so I can handle this and shape it from inside this way now. And so there's continuous air from the top of the hat all the way through at this point. And I'll poke these nostrils in even more now. And I've got air coming out the nostrils. And now I'm going to add just some little details on the mustache portion here. And on the bearded portion, just some little scrizzles. Craig, maybe you could show us your beard here. Photographer has a good beard. And so there's our beard and our mustache. Stand them up. And we'll start with the body next here. We'll put a little hair on afterward, but we're going to get this body going. So a little bit bigger ball can be, depending on what size and portion you want. You can make it more. So for this one, it's same principle. Ball, putting my finger in, and I'm turning to my palm so I can make it wider in the middle without making this hole bigger. And then I roll it on here to smooth it and compress it together. And so there is my gnome shoulders right here. I'm going to use this part right up here to attach the head. And I'm pressing that out to give it a little belly profile. There's my gnome. Core here is a gnome arm. And just a paintbrush. I'm going to take this, make a little coil, tapered, make another one, have it ready. Shorten out a little bit. And so, taking that, putting it in through there, make this hollow. And we're making it hollow so that it's uniform in thickness, so it will dry and contract at the same rate, expand and contract. And so we can articulate it knowing that it's going to stay together. So we can bend it, shape it, move it around. And so this little technique here though allows us to make fairly thick arms without having to be solid. Here's another little trick. I cut this at a diagonal on here. Pull that off. And so there's our coil, but cut it at a diagonal. I can now make an arm that bends. And so a little bit of slip in that seam, put it in there, blending that together. And there's my arm. And depending on how much I want it to bend, I can change that angle with it. And so there's the sleeve, and we'll do that to this one too. Okay, so got another arm made, and we're going to take this, widen it out a little bit, so there's the belly, and I'm going to insert an arm, making a hole through here, and a hole through here. So it's kind of like a mannequin here. Put together Pinocchio, and put that over the hole, blending it. Get in there and blend underneath. Get Ready to rub his belly. There's the body. Now we'll build up a little bit of a neck. Pointy folk shoes here, so a coil that's rounded on one end and pointy on the other, and we'll make them a little bit oversized. Plop it down, flatten it, and before we attach the leg to it, we'll go ahead and kind of decorate that. Do that again. Camera shot. And flatten that. We have a little tip up. And we're going to put slip right in this area here. Make sure we got a hole all the way through still. And get them pointed the right direction. So you can see that coming together. And we can kind of just stress them a little bit, squash them, gives them a little bit of baggy pants. Yeah, give them a wider stance if we want, whatever it is we're looking for. You can put little neat things like this on his jeans while we have it. Little piece of clay we flatten. And cut that into a square. Rectangle. And here's his little kneecap repair here. The slip, put that on there, and run that in a little, stitch it down. He's had a little run in with something. This is the part where it gets a little Bob Ross-like. And right there's a little patch, you don't know, a big rabbit or something. Okay, and so, kids don't know who Bob Ross is. Afro, painter, lovely. Okay, here we go. We got that part, and we're going to bring this together a little bit. We're just blending it, making sure it's all together. We're going to dunk this in some slip, and we're going to get our bottom part ready, and our top part matched up. And we're going to get that right on there, and I'm going to hold it as I do this. So, take me to your leader. All right. Now we can make some hands, and here's a little trick for hands. Little tiny coil. Round those off. The edge. There's another one. This one's going to have one side a little smaller. One side a little smaller. And we're going to go with the cartoon, little animators, claymators. We do the 3 fingers, 1 thumb sort of routine. And so folding that over, nice and rounded on the end, and fold that over. And so here's our thumb, that big one, and then we have these 3 little ones, and if you're smart, you'll give yourself a little bit longer one in the middle. Set those all next to each other, and then we blend it a little bit. And And now we'll give it a little wrist. And this wrist is kind of cool. It's just a cone. You take it, put it on there, blend it in, blend the back side, and then here's where we get kind of cool. We're going to come in and we're going to put fingernails on it. And so anything in the studio, the back of this needle tool works real well. There's our fingernail imprints, and then here's some wrinkles. And you got to get them on the right side. So if he's going to hold something eventually, we can kind of articulate that now. You know, whether it's a bucket or a staff or something. And so got that bent. We've got a little socket here. If not, we would open that up. And so that cone in, I'm going to get some slip on that and plug that in. He's got one finger out. Hey! And so there's our hand. We'll do that to the other side. Rub that in. All right, and I think we'll do a little bit of hair on the back here. And a lot of people want to just do lots of little stringers. Here's a trick. We can sort of make it look like a lot of stringers, the same way we did the beard up front. Give them a little eyebrow furrows. And that is our gnome.